Hey guys, this is Ramon Martinez, just a fellow YouTuber looking to bring you some chess content that I think it's lacking in the chess community, especially in the YouTube community. Especially because I think most YouTubers who do chess commentary, most of the time they do current events, and some of them like Daniel King and from Power Play Chess and King's Crusher, they do some older games and older playlists, but I think there's still a lack of content as far as you know Tal games and Kasparov games. I mean, Kasparov has a plethora of games that haven't seen covered, and I say this because I have a couple of his books, and I just purchased The Life and Games of Mikhail Tal, and that's what actually inspired me to try and do these chess videos for you guys to bring you some content that may be lacking out there. I think because I look for Tal games, and while you may be able to find a few or several of his more famous games, there's still a lot of other very interesting and complex games that he played in his life that are simply don't exist in YouTube. So I actually be bringing you games by Mikhail Tal, but I have other books that I would like to bring content out of if you guys are interested in that. And you are welcome to leave comments down below, and I am happy to see recommendations, suggestions, and you know, or ideas of particular players or matches that you would like to see. I actually also just purchased the Mikhail Tal and Botvinnik match from 1960. I'm actually looking forward to going through that. I think that was a titanic struggle, and it's definitely going to be very interesting. So let me know if you guys are interested in any of that. Like again, this is Ramon Martinez. This is just a fellow YouTuber, chess enthusiast. I love chess. I've been playing it for like 12 years, maybe more. I can't remember. All I know is that I love this game more than anything I really ever enjoyed. So, and I have a lot of other hobbies, but chess has got to be the biggest one. And I completely love this game. I can't get enough of it. I play it every day if I can, and if I don't, then I feel sad. So, so I'm sure some of you guys will understand that. But without further ado, I will get started. And the game that I'm bringing you today is from 1949, and it was played in Riga in the Riga Palace of Pioneers Championship. And in 1949, Tal was only 12 years old, and his opponent Zilber was 15 years. So the game starts with e4, e6, d4, d5. So as you all know, this is the French defense. And here Tal plays knight d2, if I can get that horse over there, or knight. And his opponent plays c5. So it's pretty typical, but it's an aggressive system. After c5, Tal actually plays e takes d5, and he mentions in the book or the notes to his book that after this point the game has developed in similar fashion to many of the Karpov Korchnoi encounters from 1974. But here his opponent played queen takes d5, which I think it's not played often, at least even in my games. I maybe seen it once or twice, and I don't know. It's usually e takes d5. I think is more common. So Tirtal plays knight g f3, knight c6, and bishop c4. So this obviously asks the queen the question of where it wants to go, and I think most usual here is probably queen d8 to keep control of d6. But his opponent actually plays, I think, somewhat of an unusual move, and he puts his queen on h5 actually. And Tal even states that this, is a move that modern theory, at least back then, was skeptical of this move. And I mean, not only that, I mean, the queen has moved, twice already, and black is still quite undeveloped. And if you look at white's development, he's already ahead, right? But I mean, with today's engines, though, I mean, they probably think this is okay. I personally wouldn't play something like this. It doesn't look. It's provocative. Let's say that much. It is. It is provocative. So anyway, Tau play d takes c5, which is interesting because as a beginner, sorry, especially you are always taught never to develop your opponent's pieces, and this capture here just seems to help black with his development by having the dark square bishop capture on c5, which is exactly what his opponent played. But Tal's idea was knight e4, so that attacks the bishop. Mind you, the queen is defending it, so it can be recaptured if that knight takes at some point. And here black played knight ge7, in fact. Now, he could have tried to retreat the bishop here, I think. Problem is that knight d6 is kind of annoying. I don't think he loses the game, but it certainly doesn't help his game. So he opts not to move the bishop, even at the risk of having it being captured, or even knight d6 even now is possible. But with this theme in mind, white actually plays bishop g5, and this, as you can see, actually breaks the connection of the queen and bishop, so that bishop is actually m3. But that's why black plays queen g4, so that if knight takes g4, you don't want to take here, because after rook g1, then the black queen is just kind of close to getting trapped, and you just lost a piece. But the idea is probably just queen takes c4, which also attacks the loose knight on c5. So queen g4, and of course to defend that bishop, white plays queen d3. It's understandable. And black played queen b6 to protect his bishop, still refusing to move it away. And white just castle long. So I mean, just looking at this position, visually it looks better for white, I think. I mean, I would rather be white here. Black's still trying to develop his pieces, whereas black is already ahead in development and it just looks better. But here black actually castles, so he's trying to complete his development, but Tal states here that his opponent is still blissfully unaware that he could have saved his queen by playing something like h6. Now, here's one of those moments where if you like, you can pause the video and try to find the next move played by Tal. There's actually a tactical move that threatens to win basically the queen. So take a couple seconds or pause the video. Try to find the move that white plays here to actually, threaten to win the queen. Okay, so the move played by Tao is actually bishop f6, which at first glance it looks ridiculous, but once you actually take a look at it, it kind of makes sense. Of course, the point is that if black takes, then knight takes f6 forks the black king and the queen, and that would just be totally fatal. So, of course, black saw that and actually played queen f4 check. And trying to block the check is really not convenient, I don't think. So Tal just play king b1, and then actually black did take the bishop with g takes f6. Now, if this was me, I would be freaking out. And even Tal states that he basically wasn't too comfortable in this situation because he basically is a piece down with very little to no compensation. But Tal being Tal, he keeps playing on. I mean, I would be a little concerned at this point. But Tal is Tal. He plays queen or g3, and the queen actually goes to h6, and that's followed by g4, and the queen actually returns to f4, and then the queen is obviously slightly better placed on f4. It's a little more centralized, and it's also keeping an eye on a f6, which is obviously under attack by the horse or the knight on e4. But Tal's idea is g5, so he's just basically ramming that pawn up the g file, trying to open lines against the black king. And really, black is kind of obliged to take here, so he did. And the idea is knight f takes g5. And there has to be something done about the actual looming threat in the air. I mean, if black just does something silly like bishop b7, then you have knight f6 check and checkmate. It's that simple. You don't have time for any of those shenanigans. So black saw that, of course, and he played knight to g6. But of course, that push the h pawn down the board or up the board, threatening to push to h5, and the engine here is pushing knight c to e5, which probably would have been a better move than the move actually played in the game. In the game, black actually played knight b4, attacking the queen, but I mean, this is a superficial threat. I mean, now this is just goes back to principles that you are taught early on, really. I mean, you don't ever want to have a superficial attack that actually pushes your opponent's pieces to where they want to be in the first place. I mean, here the queen wants to go where it ended up going to, which is surrounding this area here against the king, where the G file is open. And his idea was to play if queen h3, which was played, to play e5, so it attacks against the tempo on the queen because attacked by the bishop, but the queen just goes down to g2, and again you have this very unpleasant situation where you have a queen looking at a king. I mean, there's two pieces in the way, but those two pieces can be moved rather quickly, and then you have discovered checks possible and just very nasty things going on. And after queen g2, bishop f5 was played. So here, obviously, the knight on e4 is attacked twice. So something has to be done about that. So instead of playing something like queen or f3 or moving the knight, Tal just played h5. And here, surprisingly, black actually plays king g7. Now, if we just go back to this position, I mean, queen g2 here, black could have tried playing knight takes h4, attacking the queen, but I think then that's answered with rook takes before, and h4, and queen takes h4, and as you can see, there's just nasty possibilities of discovered checks. So taking on h4 with the knight from g6, I think was just not something that his opponent, Tal's opponent, wanted to do. So that's why we have h5 and then king g7. And here, of course, after king g7, Tal just took the knight on g6. And black's idea was not to recapture with either pawn, but to push h6 and attack the other knight on g5. But then came, and I mean, I guess you could have played something like knight takes, but I think after that maybe knight or bishop takes, and it's just unpleasant for white. So white actually took with a bishop on f7. Now here, I don't think black really wants to take on g5, because that would just open horrible lines for the rook on h7 check, for instance. I mean, just one of many threats, and in fact that would be mate. Yeah, you do this and it's checkmate. So yeah, you can't really take that knight. The knight is immune. So black actually took the bishop on f7 with the rook, and then came g takes f7, and after that, only then did black take the knight on g5. But then, of course, came knight takes g5, and black's idea here is queen takes g2. Now notice there are multiple threats here. I mean, for both black and white, but I mean, black's threats, there's a threat on c1. There's a bishop, the knight, the queen. So if you take that rook on a8, you're possibly gonna run. I mean, just let me show you. Queen takes a8, queen takes c2 check. So king a1, queen b1 check. Notice the nice idea here. And if rook takes b1, then that's a very beautiful smother mate, which I don't think I've ever seen in an actual game. So don't always go for material, because sometimes that just doesn't help you in any way. So now queen takes f2 was the idea behind white was to play knight e6. So you never intended to take on a8, and that's a double discovered check. So it's attacked by the knight on e6 and the queen, so the queen can't be taken, nor can the knight. So king took on f7 actually, but now just a checkmate sequence basically follows, which I mean some of you might be able to see it. I mean I had to look at it a couple times to actually see the lines, but it starts with queen to g7 check, king takes e6, rook h6 check, and then notice the other rook is also protecting the d file, so the king can't just go across over there. So here he's just going almost into computer defensive mode, just giving that material. Queen takes g6, king e7, Rook h7 check, king f8, queen g7, king e8. I mean, this is all forced variations. Queen d7 check, and after king f8, I mean, boom, checkmate. So there you go, guys. That was Tal at the age of 12, surprisingly. Well, but not surprisingly. I mean, he was a very strong player even at a young age. But yeah, let me know if you guys want me to continue making these kinds of videos, or if you find my voice really annoying. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is my first chess video that I've ever made. I had practice in the sense that I've watched a lot of different chess channels. Like I said, King's Crusher and Chess Network and all of those guys. Been watching them for a while, but like I said, I feel like there's some material missing and a lot of interesting games that they sometimes don't cover. And I mean, I'm even considering covering some of the current tournaments that they sometimes don't cover at all for some reason. Maybe they just don't find them that interesting. Like the couple of weeks there was the memorial for one of the older players. I forget his name. Gashimov Memorial, and nobody covered any of those games. And I think there were some pretty interesting games actually. But they have their own reasons for not covering them. I mean, could be lack of time or who knows, right? But let me know. I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to making more of these videos if you guys actually enjoy them. And I think that these games bring some value to anybody who's interested in chess, because I think there are things you can learn, tactics and strategy and whatnot. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to continue this, or if this was just something that I don't know. Like I said, I enjoy doing this, despite the fact that it's my first time. It might be a little shaky, but hopefully it's not too terrible. But yeah, this is again Ramon Martinez. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.